Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
Yeah. Welcome into Wednesday. Glad to have you aboard. Bill Edwards here.
Yes, and I'm Brittany Brown. Thanks for tuning in. And things are going well, aren't they, Bill?
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, the president's in Israel. Haven't the Jews suffered enough?
I mean, he's the last person I want showing up. Especially, they're in it's a hot zone right now. Why are we flying a president into the country, and why are we announcing it?
Yeah.
We typically don't do those things.
Well, we do when the Democrats are in charge. They want to give. Remember when Obama was in, and he started talking about the SEALs that had taken out the bad guys, and especially the bad guy, and he kept saying. He was talking about this and that, and somebody finally told him, Mr. President, you're not supposed to tell what the SEALs do, and you're not supposed to identify these guys, and you're not supposed to give all these details on how we got Osama bin Laden. Okay? So military secrets don't seem to mean anything to these people who have never been in the military, for one thing.
But here's the thing, when he went to Ukraine, it was last minute, we didn't know about it, and it was a year into the war before he went there. So this is really hot right now, and I'm not really sure why we would send him in there or why they think it's a good idea. I think it could heighten the conflict there with the U.S. president being there. But
when he got there, one of the things he said was, Israel. And I think Dr. Jill had to come over maybe and like wind him up. It's unbelievable. Did you? And of course, you know, he had the interview with Scott Pelley, who was not a journalist but plays one on television.
Oh yeah.
On 60 Minutes last week. Did you hear the intro that Scott Pelley did?
No.
When he was talking, he said, "It's been a rough week for the president.
Oh geez.
He'll be 81 in a few days." And he was extremely tired, and that is exacerbating his lifelong stuttering problem.
Oh, is that what it is?
He had a lifelong stuttering problem? I'd never noticed that.
No.
But he said, and he meant it, but he's very busy, but he managed to wedge us into his busy schedule so that the American people could get more insight. And it was like, what?
He goes to bed at 11 a.m. What are you talking about, busy schedule?
Yeah, he's usually up for his favorite noonday meal, breakfast.
Yeah, well, and Lizzie Warren says, read a comment, Biden was there to delay Iran's potential involvement. And then Bill with a laughy face, so apparently you're hilarious this morning. And he never stuttered, meaning Biden. Very interesting. But.
And he started to tell a story. And then just stopped. And I didn't know if he might be saying that he knew how the Israelis felt because he had a kitchen fire that almost destroyed his home and his '67 Corvette.
Yeah, he was. The schedule is really tough, so I'm sure that he,
the man is busier than a one-arm paper hanger with the hives.
Yes, well, I'm sure that it's just hard to switch time zones and things like that.
Yes.
It's very difficult.
And the accommodations you have on travel.
I know. I mean,
Air Force One is really cramped.
Poor him for having to fly on Air Force One.
Yeah.
Although I hear
it is.
Yeah. Well, I did hear that they do spend a great deal of money upholstering and designing it every time a new president comes in. So that's exciting.
I'm sure that they do. And when I used to do regular interviews with John Decker on my radio show. He said, and the food is pretty damn good.
I bet it is. Yeah,
he said the food's great. So,
well,
but nevertheless, the president is there, and here we are. What's going on? And the meetings that were canceled.
In Jordan,
he was supposed to be having a meeting with not only Jordan but Saudi Arabia, right? Both of those have been canceled. And they canceled while he was in the air. A former State Department spokesman from the Trump administration was on Fox and Friends this morning, and she said, when Mike Pompeo was going over there, said, we never, ever had, they would have never dared to cancel a meeting. We were criticized so much that everything we were doing over there was going to start World War III. Well, now we have something that very well could.
Well, I think him being over there is dangerous. I don't think it's a good idea for the U.S. to be involved. They also have 19,000 people on the ground. We just found out. I'm sure that, people are going to be excited to hear that since we're not involved. We're just allies, right?
These are just field exercises in the real field.
Yeah, and they plan on sending 2,000 more, so we'll be up to about 21,000 in the area.
That's what Vladimir Putin told us when he was amassing all those troops against the Ukrainian border a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's just an exercise. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, also, I don't blame Russia.
No.
I don't blame Russia for what they did, because guess what? When they said, we need you to agree that you will not allow them in NATO. Mm-hmm. And they said, we can't do that.
Yeah.
What did they think was going to happen? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We have a bunch of people that are incompetent running this White House. But yesterday there were some attacks that Israel was being accused of on a hospital in the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
And reporting tells us that it really was coming from Hamas.
This was
and
friendly fire. Is it one of those things where, one of those terms that really isn't, friendly fire isn't, but nevertheless, the Jews are going to get blamed for it. But this is what happens when you station missile batteries in a hospital. Pro-Palestinian protests on our college campuses. This is frightening on a level that I've never seen before.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind that these are homemade rockets too. Mm-hmm. So they're risky in themselves, and so this stuff does happen. Babylon B has a good one. Biden goes to Israel to preside over opening of World War III. Opening ceremonies of World War III.
You gotta laugh on the outside to keep from crying on the inside. But honest to God, that there's many a humorous word has been spoken, or many a true word has been spoken in jest.
Well, and I think the thing that's concerning is that I don't know that everyone is living in reality right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that we're going to be in this conflict. Now, Biden's trying to send $1 billion for Ukraine and Israel. Billion with a B, people. Mm-hmm. I mean,
at least it's not trillion with a T, which is
we're going to be $2 trillion deficit every year moving forward. So we're just getting $2 trillion in debt every single year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and that's without the economy, the projection of the economy actually reducing. So we're going to be in more debt. Uh-huh. People don't understand how this works, and people don't want to get involved in politics, but
the old saying is that money doesn't grow on trees. Well, yeah, that's right. It doesn't. It has to be earned. It has to be made, and this is
not by the Fed.
And not by a printing press.
Yeah,
it has to happen in the free enterprise system. Somebody has to sell something in order to. We could be selling our own oil, and that alone could bring this crisis almost to a screeching halt, especially in Ukraine.
Yeah, well, Biden was over in Israel this morning. He did land. He is meeting with Netanyahu, and he had this to say about the missile attack.
Yeah, at least he got this right.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But there's a lot of people out there not sure. So we've got to overcome a lot of things.
I mean,
he looks like
he sounds and looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He looks weak, and I don't know if, one of the things they thought was a good idea, because he has a bunch of 20-year-olds probably running his administration. They're like, what would make you look really strong? Going into a war zone. That's a really good idea. So no telling what they were thinking, because it's hard to keep up.
Yeah. George Bush did that, but it was all top secret when he went in during the Gulf War, and he did it on Thanksgiving Day, which was really cool, serving Thanksgiving dinner to the soldiers over there, and that was a great morale booster. But he came out with that big turkey, and it just and the place just went crazy, and he was also running for re-election at that point, and it was a great campaign move as well. And this guy is running for re-election, unfortunately. Pray to God he doesn't get it. But nevertheless, he looks so weak, so frail. He can hardly stand up. He was reading that off of car. You had to read this. You had to read this.
Bill, I know. I don't understand how people can continue. Like, I think his approval rating is still in the 30s, low 30s, but still, who's approving of this? I don't know, Bill.
Who's saying he's doing a good job?
I would like to meet these people and have a conversation.
Yeah. If you could actually have intelligent conversation with these folks.
Yeah, and Lizzie Warren says, does it matter at this point if it's billion or trillion? I mean, it's just money, right? Lizzie Warren also says his voice gets weaker and weaker. Trip snacks of desperation. He's a walking corpse. Yep, all of those things. I agree with you on.
Yeah, and Scott Pelley told us he'll be 81 next week, and he's really tired.
Yeah, and Christina Benjamin's with us this morning. She says, I don't think he is in any trouble around them. The bad guys are glad he is not Trump, and Trump is not in power. Sorry.
Well, none of this would have happened. I promise you, none of this would have happened under Donald Trump.
It didn't happen under Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Three peace deals. I don't know. And no Nobel Peace Prize for him, which is so odd.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, very odd.
I lost my respect for that for the Nobel Peace Prize organization and the people that voted for that thing when they gave it to Yasser, that's my baby Arafat. So I mean, when you give a Nobel Peace Prize to a terrorist, I'm sorry, I'm off the reservation. Okay.
Yeah, well, they still seem to get money from somewhere, so that's also interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But the thing is it's getting worse, and we had the embassy attacked as well in Jordan, and they're calling for a national day of jihad again. And here's the thing: they called for it on Friday. We saw some things happen, but definitely not at the levels that we had anticipated. However, they're going to continue calling for it, and now that people are paying attention, we will see these come about. And
there was a bombing of a synagogue in Germany today too.
Yeah.
So it housed a kindergarten and a school, but fortunately nobody was injured. All right, coming up next, Nikki Haley weighs in on this situation as well, and also we had a local runoff election here yesterday. It didn't come out the way we wanted, but we'll tell you more about it after we're at the break. Get ready.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was and that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by left-wing Democrats, and they openly discriminate against whites and Asians. So even if your daughter has the best test scores, even if your son has amazing grades, even if they spend extra hours studying and doing everything right, it won't be enough. Unless you suddenly discover that you're part Cherokee, or transgender, or in the country illegally. Otherwise, your kids are out of luck. Which begs the question, if Democrats are hurting your children, why would you ever vote for them? Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
It is Hump Day, and a little better than halfway through the month of October.
Yes, and we did have a special election runoff yesterday. David Tootle was in studio with us yesterday, and it didn't go the way we wanted. However, I do want to also say that he ran a great race. He actually knocked doors at night. He was on the weekends. He was a great candidate. He did really good work. He had an amazing team around him. Over 60 volunteers on his campaign. Volunteers.
Yeah.
Their time at night, on the weekends, knocking doors, signing, helping with postcards.
Unbelievable.
Such a great team, and we're very happy with how the race went. Obviously, not the outcome, but
what's interesting about this is that usually on special elections, the voter turnout is really low, and it was pathetic in the first go round. There were more people showing it, and when they have to have a runoff, the voter total is even lower. It was higher this time.
Yes.
Much higher, as a matter of fact.
Yes, and we went from having 328 people vote for David Tootle to 502, which is very abnormal in a runoff to have more people show up for you.
Exactly.
So we're hopeful for what the future brings for District 2. We do think that there is the ability to compete there. They haven't run a Republican really in that area since 2004.
And he and David, a brilliant candidate. If you didn't see him yesterday, then go back on our website, thelocalspin.com, and take a look at that interview. What an impressive young man.
Yes.
I have never been more impressed with anybody in my life. This guy he is the real deal. He is a tireless worker. He's doing something. He's a great dad to his 5 kids. He's setting an example for them, and we need people like that in office. And that seat will be up again for a re-election in November next year.
Yes, and I hope that people start paying attention to what people vote for. The taxes in this county are out of control. I was talking to someone that moved from California. Yes, I said California, and they said the taxes are worse in the city of Savannah than when they lived in Northern California.
Really?
That's bad, people. That's really bad. So people need to pay attention. And unfortunately, the candidate that won, you should go to Chatham Case Search. There's some interesting things with her that, it's unfortunate. People have money problems, but when you're talking about a budget for the county, like, you should have your ducks in a row, and you should be able to balance your own budget before you're asking for a job to balance the county budget. So really disappointed in the outcome. However, there's another opportunity next year for this seat to be up. However, the odds are different because obviously we'll have more voter turnout and people will be more energized next year because of the presidential election. And Lizzie Warren says, my fire fee increased again. I believe that that is a county fee. So if you live in the county, you are seeing those fees go up, which is really exciting. And that's a direct result of the county commissioners. And Christina Benjamin said, kudos to David for getting involved and making a difference no matter the election outcome. Running for office can still make a difference. It absolutely can. And I think that there were some big wins made for the Republicans in this area. And I do think that we did give people hope. Otherwise, 502 people wouldn't have showed up for David yesterday. Yeah. So where there's life, there's hope, Bill, even in a blue district.
For sure. And more people need to be stepping up, whether you win or not. I'm always impressed with Dan Bongino talking about the time, he ran for Congress and basically got his head handed to him to a degree. But he said, all the things that he learned, the people that he talked to, what he learned about the process.
And it always changes your path, right?
Exactly.
It always changes your path. Yeah. So I think it's and there's always wins within the losses. So I think that we have to be more positive. And running for office is really difficult, especially David has a very young family. So I'm so grateful to him, and I'm grateful to his wife and his children for allowing him to have this opportunity to run. And I think that there were a lot of lessons learned.
He sets a sterling example as a family man. And also in his community, and they ought to start paying attention to it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with David Tootle and what's next for him.
I don't think we've seen the last of David.
I don't think so either.
That's good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back to the Middle East. As we hop across the pond here and find out exactly where the situation is. I have actually heard people say, and I think one of the reporterettes at maybe it was BSDNC or somewhere that was giving Ron DeSantis a hard time when he was saying that we don't want any Palestinian refugees here.
You cannot take in people that have been told to hate America and then say, you know what, come into our country. You hate us, but we're here for you, man.
Yeah.
That's not going to end well.
These people still said they would vote for Hamas.
These people are insane.
They voted these people in.
Yeah, these people are insane. And here's the other thing. They do not have the same cultural values as traditional Americans. And that's the other thing, Bill, that concerns me, is that people are losing sight of what it means to be an American. And that, here's the thing. If we opened the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip, what would happen?
There wouldn't be any Israel left.
There would be no Jewish people left.
Yeah.
You cannot make deals with people that the only outcome they'll settle for is that all of you are dead.
Yeah. We live, you die.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
The old coin flip thing, I win, you lose.
Yeah.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
They've tried negotiating with these people. That's why the Trump peace deals were so important, was because everyone said you have to get Palestine on board first.
Yeah.
And guess what? He was like, why do we have to do that?
Yeah.
And so he cut them out, and he was able to get
How do you appease these people?
Yeah.
If you sat down and negotiate with somebody and they said, I want you dead, I said, well, let's talk about that a little bit. No, I want you dead. That's the end of the conversation. So there's no negotiating with these people. There's no satisfying these people.
No.
That we were told when they gave them the Gaza Strip that was going to be one of those great peace movements that would appease their enemy. And give them, and they had all these, and it was a turnkey operation. They had all these manufacturing facilities. They had all of these businesses that all they had to do was go in and run them and make money. So I guess they could buy more bullets and bombs to kill us. But they didn't. They destroyed those factories. They destroyed and then they attacked the people that are actually providing them with electricity and water. Okay, and then now they're complaining that they don't have electricity and water. Well, maybe you shouldn't have attacked the people that gave it to you.
Yeah, I do think the conflict is very complicated. However, when you have someone that there's no deal to be made with,
no.
What do you do? And the people that are siding with these people, I'm just like, do you not understand that they also voted for this?
Yeah.
Palestinians are held hostage by Hamas because they voted for this.
And by the way, there's no such thing as Palestine anyway. There's no country, Palestine.
No,
okay?
It's people.
Yeah, it's just people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that I know that there's been a lot of talk about us taking these people in, which I just discussed was a terrible idea because they've been taught to hate Americans. So why would we even offer that? And there's 50.
Even though we have plenty of room, because we got thousands coming across the border now.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I don't know what the discussion is. The Palestinians could go down to Mexico and come right on in.
Yeah. Well, they want probably special stuff for these
Maybe
people.
some of them could hop back on Air Force One with the president.
Yeah. Well. No, I just.
But guess who
It's so
doesn't want them
frustrating.
either?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. King Abdullah II of Jordan had a lot to say about this topic yesterday.
He sure did.
To part of the question on the issues of refugees coming to Jordan, and I think I can quite strongly speak on behalf not only of Jordan as a nation, but of our friends in Egypt. That is a red line. Because I think that is the plan by certain of the usual suspects to try and create de facto issues on the ground. No refugees in Jordan, no refugees in Egypt.
Oh.
Yeah, amazing how that works.
And is I wonder if the press over there is giving him a hard time for being a racist.
Well, here's the thing. That tells you everything you need to know. We have a lot of. I think we have 50. Arab countries over there.
Yeah.
How many of them are taking those people in?
I think the answer is 0.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Can't imagine.
Because they know how these people are. I mean,
And guess who has fences? Fences don't work here, but they work everywhere else.
Yeah, interesting how that works.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Brittany, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we shut down immigration for 30 years.
I did know that, and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and the reason that we did that, I mean, you could only get in here. We had prominent people trying to get in here. There was as I recall, some years ago, there was a very prominent surgeon in Denmark who wanted to come over here, and he was having a hard time because we wanted assimilation. Learn about America, become Americans. That's what when people like AOC, the world's smartest bartender, tries to compare the people coming across our border now with the immigrants that came here through Ellis Island. This shows what an idiot this woman is. These people came here to be Americans. They came here, they learned English. Some of them, even because they had complicated names that most of us couldn't pronounce over here, changed their names.
Well, look at the videos that we've played the past week of these protests that you would think were happening in other countries, but they're happening right here in Dearborn, Michigan, Houston, Texas, LA, New York, you name it, they're happening here. But this is what happens when assimilation doesn't happen.
Exactly.
It's not good. It creates this tribal behavior. We're going to end up like Sweden, where you have no-go zones, where these immigrants have come in and they create their own little cities within the cities, and the police don't go there. You can't go there, and 1 in 8 women will be raped in Sweden now. Unreal, because
Sweden?
of what they've. Yeah.
Of all
that.
places.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Really quick, Lizzie Warren says Democrats hate America culture while demanding we respect and revere every other culture. Very true. Linda Purvis is with us this morning, and she says Poland refused to accept them. Yes, they did. I'm a little bit nervous with their new government coming in. They did go left, unfortunately, so we'll see how that ends for Poland.
Okay. The Polish jokes may be coming back.
Yeah, and Mary McCann Highbreeder says the neighboring countries won't take them either. I wonder why. Yes, exactly, Mary. And then
baffling.
Yeah, and then Steve Stanton Sr. says the media can make you believe what they want. Ronald Reagan was too old at 68 to run against a goofball peanut farmer. McCain at 70 was too old to run against a Nobel Peace Prize winner. But Jay Robin just is tired and stutters. Oh, yeah, Joe Biden. And Lizzie Warren says the illegals today are coming for free stuff. It must be nice because Americans sure aren't getting free stuff. Yeah. No one's getting a cut at the supermarket. They keep telling us, this is something interesting. Maybe we'll play this video later on in the week, but a guy goes to Costco and compares grocery store prices from a year ago. Everything's doubled, but they're telling us that inflation hasn't. So how does that work?
Yeah.
But anyways, there is someone who actually does agree with King Abdul about us not taking them, but that the other countries should be.
Yeah, because why? There's a similar culture. They do have something, and there is a common denominator there. They don't have it here, but they're trying. And they come over here, and again, like I said, they want the free stuff. And when those immigrants that came in through Ellis Island, there was no free stuff. There was no minimum wage. There was no welfare system. They had to make it on their own, and they did. And that's why it was called the Great Melting Pot, and why we became the greatest country in the world in less than 200 years. And now they're doing everything they can to destroy that. And they're getting a lot of help from one particular party that will remain nameless.
Yeah, not hard to figure out that, is it?
No.
But Nikki Haley, she definitely, I don't agree with her a lot on her foreign policy. I think that she's a little bit of a war hawk for me, but I would like to get out of these wars. And it seems like some of these old establishment Republicans just want to keep funding these wars for some reason. Her and Lindsey Graham are two peas in a pod.
Yeah, we'll hear from Nikki right after the break here, so stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke. When I grow up, I want to be hired based on what I look like rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers
and walk around the office
on eggshells and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
Just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this here Wednesday morning.
Yes, and we were talking before the break about Nikki Haley and the Middle East and taking in Palestinians.
Yeah, she was on with Sean Hannity last night on the Fox News channel. I watch Fox, so you don't have to.
Thank you, Bill.
And Nikki had this discussion with Sean on what's happening over there and where we're going from here.
All right, members of the far-left squad in Congress, they're now lashing out at Joe Biden today for standing with Israel, claiming that Israel was responsible for the deadly explosion at a hospital in Gaza. The IDF says they have a lot of evidence to the contrary. And, by the way, calling for an immediate ceasefire. So, according to them, Israel does not get to respond to an attack that took over 1,400 innocent lives. Instead, these same squad members, they want the U.S. to take in hundreds or even thousands of so-called refugees from Gaza. Thankfully, Republican presidential candidates, they're coming out against the plan. For example, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has been clear that other Arab countries in the Middle East should be the ones taking in Palestinians. She joins us now for more. You are right in your analysis. We give $1 billion a year to Egypt. And this kind of gets into the little bit of a skirmish you've had with Governor Ron DeSantis. My argument is, whether you agree with Governor DeSantis' full statement or not, here is just a simple truth. These kids are indoctrinated with cartoons to, quote, hate the Jews since they are young. These cartoons cannot be any more clear. The books that they read from and are taught from similarly teaches that type of hatred. does Egypt want to risk? How do you ascertain who people that may not harbor those feelings versus those that have been indoctrinated since their youth into those feelings? How do you distinguish that?
Well, first of all, I've seen the graffiti on the walls. I've seen the organization that has the textbooks that hates on Jews. I've done all of that. And I took it a step further, Sean. I stopped all U.S. taxpayer money going to the Palestinian refugees when I was at the United Nations. This is something that I always said the Arab countries, it was their responsibility, not American taxpayer responsibility. And when it comes to the refugees, the Hamas supporting countries should be the ones that take them. Qatar, Iran, and Turkey. Those are the three countries that should take any refugees. And, and they know that, but you'll see this time and time again. First of all, I said this on your show last time, wait until this starts and everybody's going to blame Israel for everything that happens. But the key is don't fall for it. Israel needs to do what Israel needs to do. What Biden needs to focus on, and what I would focus on, are three things: support Israel, eliminate Hamas, and do everything we can to get the hostages out. Period. Don't talk about restraint. Don't talk about a ceasefire.
I guess my question goes back to this, and I tend to agree with that last part of your comment in full. But if, in fact, children are indoctrinated at a very young age to hate and to want to kill one group of people for who they are, and as adults, how do you ascertain the extent of how well that indoctrination took, what their true feelings are? You can't measure a person's heart, but you have to assume the indoctrination played a role in their thinking as they grew up in life, don't you?
Well, and America shouldn't even focus on that. Our focus shouldn't be that, but what we should do is do what Israelis do. I mean, the Israelis always justify the difference between civilians and terrorists.
But my question is, would that be why these countries don't want to even risk taking in people that might have that kind of indoctrination?
Oh, of course. That's exactly why Egypt doesn't want to take them. That's exactly, and that's why only Turkey, Iran, and Qatar would even consider it. But that's exactly why Egypt doesn't want to take them, because they can't vet them either. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge problem. What should the United States' level of involvement be, in your view?
Just those three things: support Israel, eliminate Hamas, and make sure that we get our hostages back. We don't need to worry about anything else. You are going to see there are going to be civilians that die. That's unfortunate. And when the blame goes to Israel, don't listen to it. This is Hamas at work. Remember, Hamas was the one that did the brutality. Hamas is the one that's going to try and make this look like Israel. We need to have Israel's back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
Well, and we have some comments here. Lizzie Warren says, ashamed Biden voters need to start rolling up their sleeves and start trying to correct their colossal error. Lizzie Warren also says, Nikki, I just threw up in my mouth a little. And Lizzie, our public education system is indoctrinating U.S. children to hate conservatives. Very true. Yeah. And Mary McCann Hybrider says, I mostly agree with Nikki on this point, but you can't kill any innocent people, including Palestinians. I don't disagree. However, we're in a position where I just don't think, unfortunately, they're at war. Israel did claim war the other 2 weeks ago. As soon as it happened, they said they're at war and they will destroy Hamas.
Once again, the Israelis have bent over backwards not to kill innocent women and children. They sent pamphlets. They dropped leaflets. They have sent warnings to all sorts of wherever broadcasting facilities they have over there. Get the hell out. We're coming. Well, and I think that they've given warnings, which typically doesn't happen in war. You typically don't warn people, hey, please evacuate these areas because we're coming in. Yeah. So, this is ugly. It's not going to be pretty. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. Hamas has to be destroyed. God, when he was directing David or anybody else, he said, go into that country and kill everybody. Get them out of there. There were no exceptions. And when there were, and they decided they were going to keep a few things here and there, God punished them for it. And that's not what I told you to do. Well, and here's the thing, Bill. I do think that we should be more conscientious of how we go to war. I know that we should have... Well, yeah.
I don't know. I think there's been a lot of mistakes made in this country when it comes to going into Iraq and all of those countries early on. We should have targeted ISIS. We shouldn't have gone to war with those countries.
Exactly right.
And I think that it was a mistake. And we spent 20 years there, and now all of a sudden Biden's in office, and Lizzie...
And for what?
Exactly. Well, and Lizzie Warren just mentioned this, but all of a sudden we are now hitting war after war. So we have the Ukrainian-Russia conflict. Now we have the Israeli-Gaza conflict with the Hamas. And you think China's not looking at Taiwan thinking, gosh, this is pretty good timing right now.
Yeah, sure is. Especially when you got this guy in office.
Yeah, well, and they're on a time clock, too, because I do think that whatever happens, Biden will not be our president in 2024. I don't think that people really look at him and think, you know what? I'm really excited to see him in another 4-year term.
Yeah.
And then Steve Stanton Sr. says, one neocon interviews another. And Lizzie Warren says, geez, yeah, I just covered that. We're all of a sudden in all of these wars. And it's not good for our country. It's going to bankrupt us at a level that we've never seen. And things are going to get really bad if we don't start getting a hold of what's going on in D.C. I will say I'm very disappointed in the 20 people that have decided that they're not going to vote for Jim Jordan. But also, I think that this is a good thing. We're seeing who people really are. And one of the people that is refusing to vote for Jim Jordan has connections to let's see. It's called the HDI and it's Ron Bacon. He's caught serving as an advisor to a nonprofit that has ties to the CCP think tank. So I wonder why he's not voting for Jim Jordan.
Gee, what a surprise.
Yeah.
But the Republicans, hey, it's not kindergarten. Grow up. Put on your big boy and big girl pants and vote for Jim Jordan. And I don't care. Who was that? The same guy that said he's not going to vote for Jim Jordan because he believes that he doesn't believe that Joe Biden was really elected. Okay, well I don't either, and we have the proof that he wasn't. We have it right here in Georgia. Of all the in fact we had the gentleman on just a couple of weeks ago who was here addressing the Skidaway Island, the ladies on the right.
Garland Favorito.
Yeah, and he's got all the evidence, sworn affidavits of all the voting fraud that went on, hundreds of ballots that were duplicated. They were sent in. They supposedly were mail-in ballots. But the paper wasn't creased, and they found out that they did more scientific analysis and found out that the printing on those ballots was toner. It wasn't ink, which means they were duplicated, copied on a copying machine. We have the concrete evidence that Joe Biden did not win the election here in Georgia, which means he probably didn't win it in several other states that were the key. When did we stop? When would we stop vote counts late at night and then resume them at early the next morning? That's never happened before.
But here's the other thing: when you have a group of people that have this derangement syndrome, and I don't know if it has to do with Trump or it has to do with Republicans, I can't really figure out what exactly is creating these people to just not do their research, and it's just, one lady said, well, I trust our government. And I was like,
for what?
What reason have they given you to trust them? I'm not sure. So I don't know how we're going to get past the derangement syndrome that we're seeing and have people agree on facts, because people don't. They live in alternate realities. So I don't know how we get back to having some common ground, but we're far from that right now.
Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah,
but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Correct. And Lizzie Warren said neither did Ossoff or Warnock win, and Mary McCann Hybrider said it's called brainwashing, and Christina Benjamin said there's a Substack article on the 2020 election issues, and it is Tim Waters' Substack. So check that out. A lot of summaries going on out there. There's a lot of people doing election integrity work in the state of Georgia, and they're doing really good things. And I'm hoping that we see some success in this legislative session with our representatives. Mm-hmm. But that's yet to be seen. That starts in January, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, coming up next.
One governor is flying under the radar, but doing really big things, and she's one of my favorites, so I'm excited to talk about her next.
It's coming up. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender. And as long as Democrats stay in power, it will just keep getting worse. Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Just redlining the fun meter here on this Wednesday morning. Glad you could join us here.
Yeah, and Bill and I were just talking during the break about how Joe Biden, something's wrong with him. I mean, he's like fully embracing BB is what they call him.
Netanyahu, yeah.
Yes,
but the expression on Biden's face is like,
Well, and I don't recall Trump ever having a full embrace with another leader. I mean, he always shook their hand and he might pat him on the shoulder, but I mean, not a full embrace. It's kind of weird, but whatever. I mean, to each their own, I guess.
I don't mind the embrace. I just look like he was like, is this Israel? Okay.
He probably just woke up.
Well, I'm sure he probably did.
Well, Stephen Stanton Jr. says election deniers are reserved for Democrat voters. Not. Yeah, I don't think that we're election deniers, let's be honest. It is what it is. Hopefully we can start to put pressure on our legislatures for this upcoming election. That's really all I can say about the election stuff. I mean, there's not a lot we can do otherwise.
When was the last time you remember Democrats not questioning the results of an election unless they won?
2020. I was like 2020.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even just recently, what was it? What was it? I think it was in Iowa that Nancy Pelosi
held up a seat.
They wanted another recount, even though the Republican had won in the district. It was completely certified, and she won. I mean, it was like 8 or 10 votes. It was really, really razor thin. But they did a recount. I think they did 2 recounts, and she won both of them. And yet Pelosi was trying to get that overturned.
Yeah, and Mary McCann Hybreeder says Netanyahu was the first to congratulate Biden's win for the presidency. Mm-hmm. Yes, he sure was. What do you do, though? I mean, I don't know.
They're going to have to work with us.
Yeah, so... But I bet you he's wishing that he had Trump at this point.
He's for sure.
And Hillary's not vilified for questioning election results, according to Lizzie Warren, and you are accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she wrote a book about it and everything else. In fact, I think it was Brittany was the first book ever written that asked the question and gave the answer on the front cover. It said, "What happened? Hillary Clinton."
Very good. Very good. I miss that. I don't look for anything released by Hillary Clinton, turns out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I will say there are good things going on around the country. We're picking up small wins. I think the Louisiana governorship is so big, especially since there was no runoff, 52% win for him in Louisiana. And I do think I'm hoping that this is an indicator for 2024 around the country because it will be a good one for us.
Yeah, good old Cajun boy. Meanwhile, speaking of the Midwest and things of that nature, and maybe this part of the sunny South, in Arkansas.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, one of my favorites. I thought she was a great press secretary, and she talks very highly of President Trump and how encouraging he was to her.
And she got kicked out of some nice restaurants, too.
Yes, she did. Well, one of the things that has stuck with me that Trump said to her was, they're only coming after you because you're good at your job. Mm-hmm. And so... and I think that she always talks about what a great boss he was, and so glad that she ran for governor of Arkansas and won. And she's doing big things there.
Listen, nobody who has ever worked with Donald Trump has ever said anything negative about him. Got a friend down there that my former co-host Brian Mudd, who runs the iHeart stations down in West Palm Beach, Florida. He's been to Mar-a-Lago on numerous occasions when Trump was there. Said Trump is one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet, really down to earth. He's always talking to the staff. He's always patting them on the back. Remember Ronald Reagan said you can tell a person's character by how they treat the waiter? Mm-hmm. And said he is so polite to his staff and so grateful for what they're doing. He said it's really impressive what a friendly atmosphere that is there.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
For sure. And so Sarah Huckabee Sanders, good on you, and congratulations on being a governor of Arkansas. In fact, she gave the best, without a doubt. I mean, hands down. The response from the State of the Union addresses, yep. She gave the ultimate smackdown to this president and gave the best rebuttal to the State of the Union address ever.
Well, and the thing I love about her, too, is that she's underestimated. Mm-hmm. And she always, like I said, she's flying under the radar right now, but the things that she's doing what she's doing in Arkansas is incredible. Mm-hmm. Because we have heard a lot of people that talk a lot but don't do anything. And a lot of the talk has been around these Chinese companies owning a lot of land, a lot of our farmland, and it being very concerning. She is the first governor to do something about it.
Yep.
I was proud to sign Act 636, sponsored by Senator Johnson and Representative Vaught, banning foreign parties from 9 enemy countries from owning agricultural land in Arkansas. And today, we are acting on that law. I'm announcing that Syngenta, a Chinese state-owned agrochemical company, must give up its land holdings in Arkansas. Syngenta owns 160 acres in northeast Arkansas, which it uses primarily for seed research. The company that owns Syngenta, Chem China, is also on the Department of Defense's list of Chinese military companies posing a clear threat to our state. Seeds are technology. Chinese state-owned corporations filter that technology back to their homeland, stealing American research and telling our enemies how to target American farms. That is a clear threat to our national security and to our great farmers, especially since the Chinese government enacted a law in 2017 requiring Chinese citizens abroad to collaborate with their country's security officials on intelligence work with no questions asked. This isn't about where you're from. We welcome Chinese Americans, Russian Americans, and anyone else who's given up foreign oppression for American freedom. This is about where your loyalties lie. We simply cannot trust those who pledge allegiance to a hostile foreign power. That's why I signed Act 525, sponsored by Representative McKenzie and Senator Boyd, to ban Chinese and Russian-made drones. And it's why I signed Act 758, sponsored by Representative McElendon and Senator Stubblefield, banning public contracts with the CCP. We will make sure that every company operating in Arkansas is a friend to Arkansas and good to hardworking Arkansans. Secretary Ward has already notified Syngenta about this decision. If they refuse to sell, our Attorney General can move forward with legal proceedings and force them to get out of our state. Arkansas will always protect our farmers and our national security interest. I want to thank our legislature for passing this common sense measure, and I want to thank the Department of Agriculture for working so hard on this issue.
I love her.
Hallelujah.
I think that she's great. I think
what a breath of fresh air.
Well, also the way she delivers information, it's
Yes.
not complicated, it's direct, and people understand it.
She is the real deal. This woman, I would love to see her in the White House again, this time in the Oval Office.
Well, I think we need to stop taking our really good governors out of these states.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean tomorrow.
Yes.
Although
maybe one day.
It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
But
maybe she should be Speaker of the House. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Speaker of the House.
There
okay.
you go.
And my vote for Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah. Steve Stanton Sr. says, just concerned she hasn't endorsed Trump. I think we're really early, too. I don't think that...
she's got bigger fish to fry
yeah.
right now.
And then Lizzie Warren says, Kemp, what do you say? I don't think we'll ever see this in the state of Georgia because we have such high partnerships with with China in Georgia, which is very concerning to me. And one of the things that I just, I have a really hard time with, the fact that Georgia is so tied in with the Chinese companies. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think that we'll ever see some of that legislation that we're seeing in Arkansas. But, if we get firebrands in there, if we get people that will stand up and say enough is enough, the legislature may be able to get something done here.
Let's hope so.
And, but I love Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I think she's doing a great job in Arkansas, but definitely flying under the radar because
you didn't see that on the NBC Nightly News, by the way.
No, it's weird.
And congratulations once again to Ronna McDowell.
Ronna McDaniel is the worst thing for the Republican Party. The worst thing.
The next presidential debate, Republican presidential debate, is going to be on the National Barack Channel. NBC and Rachel Mad Cow Disease is going to be one of the panelists.
Why?
Can't wait to see this.
Why? She's not a Republican. Why?
No, she's not even an American. Yeah, it's just pathetic.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're thinking. I've been very critical of the RNC. I think that they are 20 years behind the DNC, and their idea of catching up is repackaging old stuff with new cute names. Mm-hmm. Just really disappointed.
Speaking of repackaging, for God's sakes, get a new logo, okay? little frumpy elephant. We
need a warrior elephant.
Yes, absolutely. We need a little more aggressive things here, because the Democrats have done that. They've got that the jackass, which is a great logo for them. Sort of kicking.
They're
like
right
that.
on brand, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you really know where things stand, don't you?
Oh yes, Lizzie Warren says McDaniel is owned by lock, stock, and barrel by liberals, and Carol Miles say very interesting by SHS. We really need her kind of leadership in Georgia. Absolutely. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Thanks, Carol. And Mary McCann Highbreeder gave Sarah Huckabee Sanders some clapping emojis. So, I think people are excited about stuff like this, and I don't think that the American people's voices are being heard. Really quick before we end our show today, the vote for Jim Jordan did go down yesterday. 20 Republicans did not vote for him.
And a pox on both their houses.
Yes, and we talked a little bit about who these people are loyal to, and it's their lobbyists and some of the people that they are in cahoots with. So,
and I'm really tired of Newt Gingrich actually criticizing Matt Gaetz and saying that he's this traitor and backstabber.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, where the lines are drawn, or why Newt has come out, and because Newt typically takes a different approach on things, but he has definitely been against Matt Gaetz. But I wonder. People want the status quo if they're in Washington. If you do not live in the Washington, D.C. world, you do not want the status quo. You want things to be broken apart, and you want the government to start working for the American people again.
Yeah, and I think the United States government ought to be moved out of Washington, D.C. It ought to be like in Topeka, Kansas or something, right in the center of the country, so they can find out what real Americans think.
Yeah, no one wants that in their area, though.
I can understand that.
Yes.
All right, but listen, we need your help, okay? Please make a donation to us. If you have friends that have businesses, or you have a business, please consider advertising with us. And otherwise, we may not be here in a few days. So please help us out. And I don't say that as to grovel and to get my knees bloody begging for funds and things of that nature. But reality is what it is. And when we don't get sponsors who consider, they keep telling us all the time they want locally owned stuff. We're locally owned. They want conservative news. We have conservative news, and yet we don't get supported from the business community here. So please consider it. Thank you.
We appreciate you guys tuning in, and again, like Bill said, if you want us to continue to be on air, we do need support. And we want to grow this, and we want to do more investigative journalism that's going to benefit everyone, but we need everyone's help, and conservatives need to start investing in places that will have a return on their investment. So thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow.